What up, everyone? Hope you had a good Christmas and a good New Year with the new era of UFC starting now with the Paramount era, and I've been through all the eras. Uh, I want to give my thoughts on some fights I'd like to see in 2026. Uh, the first two I'll mention are pretty much are already going to happen. One of them potentially, maybe not till 2027, depending on how the surgery goes, and obviously that one is Tom Aspinall in the rematch versus Cyril Gane. That fight was unfortunately stopped early by eye poke, and now with him confirming he's going to have double eye surgery, there's a question if this will happen in 2026, and if could, I'm guessing it's going to happen toward the end of it. But I'm just going to go with the fact that it's going to happen in 2026, and I think that's going to be a very good fight. I think that and animosity for that is going to be even higher than the first fight because of some of the fact that you had that bad blood going into it, and Tom Aspinall said there's no more good guy, the bad guy's coming out, and so I think it's gonna be a very interesting fight, and the build up and lead up to is going to be something to just watch. Obviously, in that first fight, you know, Cyril Gane was just slightly ahead of Tom Aspinall in the first round. I think there's a very good chance he could have started to get his momentum going, get into his groove, and end up winning that fight. Especially getting some takedowns in the second, third round. Cyril Gane was defending and stopped. So I think that's one of them that I think is just guaranteed to happen as long as he is healthy to fight. And I think there's just going to be a whole new animosity coming to that one that I think it'd be fun to see. The next one is obviously a rematch. It's going to be the rubber match, each 1-for-1, and that is obviously Peter Yan versus Merab Dvalishvili. And it's something about that fight I think is going to be fun to see because you saw Peter Yan change his game plan, going to that second fight, didn't throw two long combinations, stuck on the outside, stuck on the outside, was able to counteract that wrestling and get off his shots. And you saw that when it came to that and keeping on the feet, there was not much Merab could do. So if Merab can change his game plan and get better at striking, he's not going to get to the Perion level. But if he could get even a notch up and then find new ways to implement his takedown strategy and chain wrestle in different ways, maybe to keep Peter Yan down and surprise Yan, I think he could do it. But I think that's going to be a fun fight to watch back for a rubber match third time. And yeah, that one I think is going to be fun to see. Another one that I would like to see is Joshua Van versus Manel Cape. I think especially that one, you have two strikers. Very different kind of strikers, though. Joshua Van is very heavy with boxing combinations, doesn't throw too many kicks. Whereas Manuel, likes to throw punches and kicks, likes to throw them, likes to set up his punches and then throw a kick after. And I think that could potentially give Joshua Vance problems. So I think that would be a fun fight. I think you could also go with Tatsuro Tira. I think it says the last name wrong. Forgive me. That one would be different. Would be a fun fight in a different way because, well, Tatsuro can strike. His primary way of winning fights, what he likes to do is take you down, look for submissions, off some ground and pound, so that you open up and he finds that submission. I either one of those two fight for Van I think would be fun. I think if you're a striker like me, that's what I like the most. Mono Cape would be a better fight. It's going to primarily be a striking battle. And you have two different kinds of strikers. One that's very heavy in boxing, very boxing dominant style of striking, whereas Mono Cape likes to kind of use more of a kickboxing style. So I think that would be a fun fight. Obviously, for Volkanovski's already got his title defense. I wish it would have been against Masvidal Imanov. I think he should have got it over Diego Sanchez. But I would be interested in a fight in that division, in the featherweight between Leroy Murphy, or not Leroy Murphy. Laron Murphy and Monzir Imanov. Sorry, get the first name maybe wrong. I can't remember it exactly off the top of my head. That would be a fight. I think that would be your traditional striker versus grappler. And I think it's going to come down to who can dominate and who can implement their game better, who'd win that fight. But I think that would be a fight that they could book if they book it relatively in the beginning of the year, within, the first 3 months. You could have the winner of that fight then go fight the winner of Volkanovski versus Lopez. Like I said, I think Monzir Imanov should have got it. He should have got the shot over Diego Sanchez. I think if you wanted to keep him busy and set up a number one contender fight, that would be a fight to make in that featherweight division. Next one, obviously, I think is Arman Tsarukyan versus Ilia Topuria. I think that's a fight that needs to happen. It should happen. I think it's very unfair how he's been kind of always left over in the title decision. I think he should have had one by now, but I definitely think that would be a fun fight, and especially because we have a striker versus grappler matchup again, and the threat would be Ilia Topuria can land one massive heavy shot that could put Arman down if he can land it. But Arman is so good with this grappling. I mean, he could be able to just straight up get him down, hold him there, use that chain wrestling to look for either some nasty ground and pound or a submission. So I would like to see that fight happen at some point. Obviously, Ilia, he's going through that divorce. There's those domestic violence allegations. We'll see if he even fights in 2026. I think it's going to be, if he does, it's going to be towards the end of the year. And I think you could even have a situation where whoever wins, Gaethje, Pimblett, you maybe face Arman for the interim belt, and then whoever holds that would then fight Topuria. And you've also got that Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway fight, that the winner of that can also go. So I think there's a couple different fights in that division that could be made in the lightweight division. I would, like I said, I think Arman deserves a shot at some point this year, but I really like to see him face Topuria because they can give him, like I said, a striker versus grappler. And it could, the way Arman has that kind of Dagestani Russian style of wrestling could be enough to just overwhelm Topuria, and there ain't much Topuria could do, but he's got that power. One shot, that's all it takes, and he could end it. He could be done. But I would like to see that fight for sure. Now, next one is in the welterweight division. And this one, I think he deserves his shot when he gets healthy. And that would be Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Islam. And I think that would be fun because you have two wrestlers that go at it. So when you have that issue, it's kind of similar when you have two strikers. Sometimes the striking so good, it nullifies it, and then you end up having to have a ground battle. I think this one could be a situation where you have two grapplers that are so good that it might become a striking battle. And Islam might take it to that point because we've seen how his striking has gotten better year over year and how he's been able to really improve on that if he has to stay on the feet, he can. And that could be where Rakhmonov gets kind of a little bit, I don't want to say exposed, but that's where maybe a weakness could show up that Islam could take advantage of. The other fight I would like to see in that welterweight division, and I think this could potentially be set up a number one contender, or maybe you would have him have one more fight that could make him the number one contender, would be a Carlos Prates versus Michael Morales fight. I think that would be fun because you have then two strikers, but like to strike differently. You have Morales, who's very technical, very boxing heavy, but he does like to throw in his kicks after his punching combos at the end to the body, and he does like to use that leg kick, which could make someone like Prates kind of stationary. Excuse me. When you look at Prates is very kind of typical Muay Thai. He's adjusted the stance. It's for anyone that does Muay Thai or knows about Muay Thai. Its stance is one of the worst for MMA because your hips are squared, easier for takedowns. So So he's kind of learned how to stand a little bit sideways, and if he does square, if he does have his stance is more square, be ready for the takedowns. But with him, he's very much Muay Thai based striking. Very heavy one-handed punch that you see in Muay Thai, kind of trying to knock you out that one technique, that one strike. The way he uses his kicks is very traditional Muay Thai. Plus, he's really good with the elbows. He likes to throw his knees, and he likes to use clinch. He's really good in the clinch. So in a fight like that, it could be a situation where you have this very technical boxer who will mix in the kicks here and there, and kind of very good with the range, the jab. He's got a stellar jab, versus a more Muay Thai kind of style striking Carlos Prates, who will incorporate the kicks a little bit more, who will also at that point try and look for ways to use elbows, knees, but especially getting that clinch, hold that, get the plum as we call it in the Muay Thai, essentially like the back of the, not neck, the head. You have more control if you get the back of the head than the neck. Try and pull it down for knees, hold them there to do elbows. So I think it'd be a very different striking style of those two. I definitely would like to see that one. And I think it'd be a fun kind of firework, just kind of a fight. You could see it tee off. For the welterweight division, I think it's Hamzat Chimaev versus Nasruddin Urmanov. I think that's the one. You have two grapplers, very good. That could cancel them out, and it could be who's the better striker out of those two. And I think that could go to Nasruddin Urmanov. You haven't seen a whole lot of striking from Shavkat. Neither from Urmanov either. But I think that could be something where maybe that might give Urmanov the slight edge in that fight. But I think that would be the fight to make for that division right at the moment. But I definitely would like to see those two fight. I think it'd be very, very much a interesting fight. Now we come to the light heavyweight. I think there's only one really competitor I'd like to see Alex Pereira fight, and that's Carlos Ulberg. No, my bad. He's fought Yuri twice, and I like Yuri. Love watching him. He's fought him twice. He's beat him twice. Obviously, you got Ankalaev. It's 1-1, but that last fight he just dominated him. He wasn't even worried about his grappling. Wasn't even worried about it. He just marched forward, kept the distance. So if he did, he could be able to fight it off. But just let him have it. Just let him have those punches, and it just was too much. So I think Carlos Ulberg would be a fun fight to watch, since he likes to primarily strike. And it'd be kind of, can he withstand the power of Pereira? And he's got power himself, so he can also hit Pereira with a nice shot that can knock him out. That can end it. So I think that would be a fun fight. Obviously, the heavyweight division, I already covered at the beginning of the video what I'd like to see there, and hopefully it happens this year. Just don't know. The thing with the women is there's no real exciting fight for me in either the women's division. Maybe at most the one that's happening is already been announced is you've got Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes. I think that's really the one fight in the women's division that I'm excited for. That, like I said, that's already announced. So it's not like these are fights that haven't been announced yet that I would like to see. Like I said, the first two are kind of going to happen. It's just a matter of when. With the Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane being a if at this point, with the double eye surgery that Aspinall is getting. So I hope that fight's able to happen. I think it'd be a blast. Like I said, the lead up is going to be even hotter than the first one, because he's going to have some bad blood coming to Cyril Gane, no doubt. But yeah, those are all the fights I'd like to see in this new, for the first year of this new deal. I'm glad that there's no more pay-per-view. That when it was in $80 a month, it was getting kind of pricey for people to pay. So I'm glad we're not having to deal with any more pay-per-views of us UFC fans and We put our money towards other stuff, maybe snacks for the fights when we have a get together for it or whatever. A little bit easier and a little cheaper to watch it. But yeah, those are all the fights I want to see. Just kind of run them over again. You have Joshua Van versus Monel Cape. I think that's one I like to see the most. But I do think Tatsuro would be a fun fight too. I think it's just me being a striker. I think the Monel Cape one would be the more entertaining one to me. We've obviously got the run back, the rubber match between Peter Yan and Merab. I think it's just come down to, can he do it again on Merab? Is keeping him at distance, not overextending himself, not going too long combos that then Merab can kind of find and get a takedown on, and just do what he did the last fight. For me, it would be, Movsir Imanov getting the winner of Volkanovski versus Lopez, or if they want to set up like a true number one contender after, it would be Leron Murphy. I think that would be fun because if he can defend the takedowns, Monsieur Ilamov might be in trouble. He might lose that fight. And obviously, like I said, Arman Tsarukyan, I'd like to see him get his title shot. I think he's deserved it to get a title shot and I'd like to see it against Ilya because you'd have that striker versus grappler. And it's just who's going to win. Is Topuria going to be able to defend the takedowns, use that power, use that strike, and just land one good shot on Arman and put him down, or is Arman going to be able to find the time while he's throwing a strike to get that takedown, use that chain wrestling, hold him there, and then they look for some ground and pound to end the fight or a submission. Like I said, Islam, I think it needs to be Shavkat Rakhmonov. I think that's just clear. And with two wrestlers, really great wrestlers, elite level wrestlers, it's going to be whose striking is going to be better. And right now, I would probably give it to Islam because his strike, we've seen more of his striking. But who knows? Shavkat has decent striking too, and he might be able to, especially if he plans that he might have to use his feet, really focus that on an upcoming training camp. He might be able to come with the shot that Islam isn't seeing him, put him down, or hurt him, and then be able to finish him with some ground and pound, or maybe then find that submission. He's good at. And in that same division, it would be Carlos Prates versus Michael Morales. I think you have two different kind of strikers. Like Morales is more of a technical boxer who will throw in his kicks at the end of combinations and just not throw a single kick. He likes to use his punches to disguise it. Kind of more of a kickboxing style, as I like to refer to it as, where you have a Carlos Prates who's really kind of traditional Muay Thai in the fact that he will throw one punch to knock you out. He will kind of kick. He'll stay in there and kind of take a shot to give a shot. He'll kind of stand in there to kind of let you have one. And he's got the elbows, he's got the knees. His Muay Thai clinch is outstanding. And from there, he can kind of get that plum, pull down the head to a knee, use one hand to then throw an elbow. I think that'd be just a fun. There'd be some fireworks in that fight. I think that'd be fun. Obviously, it'd be, Hamzat Chimaev versus Nasruddin Urmanov. I think that would be the fight to make there. And I think he said he won't do it till after Ramadan, so that could be somewhere in the middle of the year, somewhere like June, July, August. And then, like I said, for you got Alex Pereira, it's going to be Color Solberg. I think that would be the most exciting matchup to make because it's someone new he hasn't fought, and I think he could win. But I think there's Carlos Alberg, the way he is just flowing, he's grooving right now. He's got the momentum going. He might be able to weather the storm, take those shots from Alex Pereira and just find a shot to hit him and knock him down, knock him out. He needs to do that, and we know that it can be done. It's going to be hard for him. It's going to be hard. And then obviously in the heavyweight division, it would be a rematch between Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane. I think that the build-up would be just freaking insane. It would be a fun build-up, especially press conference, all that. It would be insane. But yeah, those are kind of, like I said, for women, it's just really Kayla Harris versus Amanda Nunes. Kind of got that mixed up a little bit. My bad. Just see that, and then from there, I think it's maybe you do a rematch of Valentina Shevchenko. My bad for messing up her first name. versus a Zhang Weili, or maybe Zhang Weili goes back down a division and fights Mackenzie Dern for the title. So I think women's just right now, there are not a lot of interesting fights there. But that's it. That's kind of all the fights I'd like to see in this coming year with this new deal now in place with Paramount. And yeah, no more pay-per-view. So I think it's going to make it a lot more fun to watch, a lot more accessible for people because they only have to pay that monthly subscription, which is like $8, I think, if you want the ads. If you don't want the ads, it's like $14. So a lot cheaper than $80 a month. Or the months like this month where you got 2, that would be, $160. So a lot cheaper. I think you could see a lot more people get into MMA. But yeah, that's kind of it. That's my thoughts on what I like to see. And there we go. So everyone, have a good time. Enjoy the weekend. Get out there, have fun, train hard, whether it be in your martial arts, in the gym, or just whatever you're doing. Just train hard and, yeah, catch you on the next video. Peace.